So we'll go right into Jay's talk and kind of the management implications of this.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, I'm gonna give my normal update. I'm not gonna spend much time on the DNR budget. Mark covered that really well. I'm gonna go over a little bit about what our stocking plans are for this year. We're actually already starting to stock in 2026. And then, hopefully have a discussion on what we should do in 2027. Usually at this workshop, you get a sea lamprey update. I got a couple of slides from Jenna Twos that I'll go over. And then there's some lake whitefish regulations that we're working on that I'd like your ideas as well. And I'm gonna go pretty quick because I know we're behind. And Scott and I, our phones have been ringing off the hook because the Homestead Dam is starting to overtop and go around. That's one that the DNR actually owns, so. So anyone want to go sandbagging tonight? So Mark went over all this. I just want to go to the last point and that he had mentioned in 2026, we were going to be short with our budget. But the legislature came through and gave us a one-time increase to get us through. But we're right back in the same spot for 2027. We're already at a $3 million deficit. So if we don't get a one-time fix, we're going to look at stocking decreases. We won't hire any of our summer workers. We won't do any inland creel. So that'll be a big hit on us and our programs, but fingers crossed. I really appreciate all the work that Mark and Ed and Tom and many of you have done in this room to try to get House Bill 5093 through and Senate Bill 276. So hopefully something happens and we won't be in a bad situation. I also want to mention another bill while we're talking bills. Many of you have boats and buy boating registration, and that money all goes towards our Parks and Recreation Waterways Division. And they use that money to maintain boat launch sites as well as harbors in Michigan. And they're kind of in, excuse the pun, the same boat as Fish Division in that they haven't had any registration increases for 33 years. So there's some interest in getting some more funds to maintain our boat launch sites. So just making you aware of that. So now into stocking, our plan for 2026 is the same pretty much as last year. We're gonna stock 1 million fish. Michigan is at this, the alternate year locations as we have. And you can kind of see we went to the lowest number in 2017 when we had really low alewife numbers. As the alewife increased, we increased stocking. And in a minute here, we'll be talking about potentially reductions in stocking based on what Ben had presented. One thing that makes it really hard with Chinook salmon is the wild production. The orange bars are the estimated wild smolts that we have out there based on looking at age 2 fish. And so we're anywhere from 6 to 10 million wild smolts out there. So if Michigan's only stocking 1 million and you have this much natural reproduction going on, it makes it really hard to manage the fishery and try to keep the predator-prey balance. But you can see in some years it was pretty low. So Ben had mentioned, you know, are wild fish, you know, are their conditions going down enough where they aren't as successful when the prey's not good out there, or maybe it's tough conditions out there. 2012, we had extreme low water levels that could have had an effect on it. This year, we had 2 months of super cold winter that could affect the smolts, and now we've got severe flooding. So who knows, you know, what kind of wild production we're gonna have this year. Lake trout stocking, it'll be the same. Michigan takes most of the lake trout, which the feds, US Fish and Wildlife Service, stocks for us. They're mostly stocked up in the Northern Refuge, which is around the Beaver Island complex. Ludington and Manistee also get a near shore or a stocking as well.
Did we get ours this year already, or?
I haven't heard yet.
I haven't either.
No.
Usually years.
I know the feds they're got about They're only running on about 60% of their staff, so they might be way behind on their stocking this year. Steelhead shows a little bit of variation, but some of this is how we count the steelhead. So if the fall fingerlings that sometimes we put in, if we have extras are over a certain size, over 6 inches, we'll count them as yearlings. But for the most part, Michigan's putting in 660,000 to 700,000 yearlings. And that's on track again this year. We're already stocking out steelhead. And here's our coho. And so we're just over 1.5 million coho. And that's our plan for this year. One new thing about coho is we're actually gonna start studying them. We've been putting coho in here for over 50 years and never done a real good study on them. We've done mass marking of lake trout, Chinook salmon, just finished up steelhead, and now we're gonna do a mass marking on coho. So all the coho that were stocked as yearlings this year will have an adipose fin clip and a Cote d'Ivoire tag in their nose. So same as those other species, we'll be able to look at survival, see where these fish are moving, who's catching whose fish. We can do some comparison of survival between fall fingerlings and yearlings. So really excited to learn more about our coho. In conjunction with this, Central Michigan University is also doing a microchemistry study, so they can take the otolith out of a fish, out of a coho, and they can determine, like a wild fish, and determine what region of Lake Michigan they came from based on certain chemical signatures in that otolith. So not only will we learn a lot about our stock fish, but we'll also know or have an idea of what regions our wild coho are coming from. Here's brown trout. We did a big reduction in 2017. Part of that was working with groups like yourself. There's interest in increasing Chinook salmon stocking, so we had to adjust another species. In this case, it was brown trout. Where we are stocking them now, we're concentrating just on a few ports. So Ludington, Manistee are 2 of our main ports. We also do Frankfort, Glen Arbor, and we're doing some over on near the Menominee River, and just started a small stocking in Grand Haven. But depending on the year, we're starting to hear more and more reports on browns. It sounds like Ludington's been pretty good this year. You know, these browns are moving more than what we ever thought. You know, they're catching them down in St. Joe, even though we don't stock them there. Some of the browns from Wisconsin had an adipose fin clip, and they're showing up over here in Michigan. So they're making bigger movements than what we used to give them credit for. But they're a pretty awesome spring fishery if you can get them to take. Switching to sea lamprey, everything's looking pretty good with sea lamprey now. We're just above our target of 20 adults as part of the sea lamprey index. We did jump up during that COVID year, so that just emphasizes how important it is to treat these streams for sea lamprey. So we're getting it back down there. The other indicator we look at is lake trout marking rate, and we're way below the target level there. So the crew here, the Ludington crew, is doing a great job with sea lamprey control. These are some of the streams we're going to be treating this year, and I just wanted to highlight that the Manistee will be treated this year. It's usually in mid-late August. We try to do it before the Chinook run, but after the lake sturgeon are big enough so they're not as affected by the TFM treatments. So just be aware that the Manistee and the Pere Marquette rivers are both going to be done this year. Lake whitefish, you heard about lake whitefish populations declining throughout Lake Michigan and Huron. It's been in the news quite a bit the last few years. We have control over a couple of pieces. The angler or the recreation anglers and the state commercial fishing. Then there's a whole process that we work with the tribes in terms of allocating to their tribal fishers. So I can basically have influence on the recreational fishery and the state commercial. So the state commercial we have one state commercial fisher out of Muskegon. about 10 years ago, they were allowed to take over 200,000 pounds of lake whitefish. They're down to less than 5,000 pounds now, so they've been cut quite drastically. And because we're seeing that decline in the state commercial allocation, we're also starting to look at angler caught, lake whitefish as well. So our goal was to try to reduce harvest of lake whitefish, especially Muskegon, Grand Haven, and Whitehall. And most of these fish that are caught in the fall are snagged. So we tried last year putting a hook regulation on, which did reduce our harvest quite a bit, and it also reduced the effort, but we also created some issues with walleye anglers and steelhead anglers that want to use treble hooks. So we're reevaluating that, and looking at possibly a spawning closure, or could possibly look at lower bag limits. So we're thinking this will be implemented somewhere about mid-lake, maybe Whitehall south, all the way to the state line, and looking at a November, December closure for lake whitefish. And I want to end with hopefully a little discussion, if we have time, about Chinook salmon's stocking in 2027. Ben pretty much laid it out there. Our fish weights are going down, predator prey ratio is going up, mortality on alewife is up. So it's hitting all of our kind of signals that we should make an adjustment in stocking. So we started talking about this with the other states earlier this spring. They're pretty much on board for the most part. We met with the Lake Michigan Citizens Advisors last week. They're on board with the cut. And so we're looking at about a 25 to 30% Chinook salmon stocking cut for 2027. We usually, when we make a cut, we do it for 3 years to see how things are gonna respond. So we'd still stock the same locations. We would just, stock less at each one. So Ludington may only get 75,000 instead of 100,000. So that's what I got. I'm really curious what you think about, the stocking plan, especially to reduce Chinook salmon stocking. I know it's not been a popular decision in the past, but I think we've shown that it can work, right?
I didn't say it works.
Yeah. And
Don't want to crash.
if natural reproduction will help us out too, and we can get that alewife, those numbers back, at the fish weight back up, I think that's what we should be doing.
Thanks a lot, Jay.